Plasterboard. This is a really go-to material for the last 30 or 40 years for internal walls of homes, and this specification for this home is to have plasterboard right through the entire house. And so the 7 steps that we need to look at for here is, first of all, calculate all the wall lengths by the wall height, which will give us our square meter area. Separate wet area and standard room plasterboard, 10mm for walls, 6mm villa board for wet area. Okay, you can actually search online for the 547 Gyprock manual, that's CSR wet area, and it is very explanatory why I would recommend this for a wet area, and it's quite simply much more robust than wet area Gyprock. Okay, we need to allow for external angles, so again we can look at the Gyprock 547 manual, and you'll see why we actually use steel angles, which are nailed to the stud work, and what they do is they lock the stud work together so that there's no movement in the corners. All right, we need to calculate all the ceiling areas, and we've nominated 13mm plasterboard for that job, and we've also allowed 90mm cove corners to all rooms. Okay, you can get your rates from Cordell's, and we'll go from there. All right, we'll look at slide 2, and there are quite a few slides here. What do we need? We need the main plan, and with the main plan we'll be able to establish all the wall lengths, all the room sizes, and also establish the ceiling height. Slide 3. I've put this in here because it gives you a really good indication and a short read about insulation. Why do we need insulation in our walls? And just quickly, we can actually see that from the ceiling, we'll lose 25 to 35% heat loss in winter, through windows 10 to 20%, walls 15 to 25%, and floors 10 to 20%. And so air leakage alone in Australia, we're almost prehistoric in comparison to America, where every window and door is sealed because of the extreme cold. It's just not enough to bother. In South Australia in particular, we call a cold day 12 degrees. In America, they call a cold degree temperature of 1 or 2 degrees, and we can see the difference. The heat gains that you get through a house, again, are massive. So through the floor, you've got your 10 to 20%, you've got 15 to 25%, that's increase of heat. And recently in our own home, which has a timber subfloor raised off the floor and off the ground level, the amount of use of our evaporative air conditioner has dropped to about a third from what we were using, and quite simply because of the insulation and the heat that we were actually gaining from underneath the house. So winter and summer, this is good stuff. So Terry Dolman's also a good one to catch up with this passive design insulation, but we need to actually come up with a size. Now this is actually quite a few pages, 8 or 9, but in it is a really some pertinent information regarding insulation. Okay, slide 4. All right, here we have our takeoff, and I've tried to keep it in separate areas. This is the takeoff for all the walls, and so you've got your garage, living, bedroom, walk-in robe, bedroom 1, entry. Okay, covers that pretty easily. Self-explanatory. You would put a wall area. You know, here we've got our times, and so either side of that would be the size of the walls, and then you end up with a square meter and add these all up. You may get more of these and less of these, so it just depends how you work this out. But I've left these here so that all you need to do is, for example, here under entry, put a wall size, and again here by the height 2.7, and that'll give us a square meter rate over here. Okay, next slide. All right, plasterboard to the ceilings. Pretty simple, this one. You need to establish the size of the garage, and that will give you the area, so the length and the width. And what you probably need to do is, to make this quite simple, is make sure that you have a sheet size. So for example, you can buy 6 meter sheets of gyprock. You can't buy a 5.4. So that's just one example. So when you look at your gyprock manual, you'll find that there are standard gyprock sizes. Okay, and they're things like 2.4, 3 meters, 3.6. So they're a little bit different than timber sizes. And so simply go through each room, and what we're looking for, what we're chasing, is really the total plasterboard to the ceiling area, this figure here. All right, so once we have that, we're actually cooking with gas. Slide 6. Okay, wet area walls. And you've got a couple of wet areas. You've got the bathroom, you've got the ensuite, you've got the laundry, and you've got the back walls of the kitchen. Okay, so there's a couple of little areas there we can get, and what we're looking for is our total wet area wall. Okay, number 7. All right, 90mm corners to all wall and ceiling junctions, and so here they are here. Again, very similar to your gyprock lengths, and so if you wanted to, you could take those figures and put them into here, and they would match identically, except that we're not looking at a square area, we're looking at a linear meter of corners, and finally getting a total finish figure there. Okay, last slide. All right, we've got insulation, and so what I've done there with ceiling insulation R4, wall insulation R2.5, and again you can go through the garage, laundry, bath, living, bedroom, entry, bedroom 1, ensuite, walk-in robe and al fresco, and put in the square area so that we can work out a total ceiling area, which is going to be very similar to what you've already worked out in regards to the amount of gyprock that you would need for all the ceilings. For the walls, you can't quite do that, and so you just need to break into rooms and make sure that you don't double up by actually allowing in one room. Probably you would be better off doing a linear meter rate, almost like the length of the internal wall plates, and working out the height of the walls to give you the wall area. Okay, so that's a little tip for you. You need to actually remove the external windows and doors, that area, because you can't put it there. Also the internal doors, and put a figure there, and once we've got that, we'll have our total wall insulation area. Final